Welcome everybody to 1619's 2025 Kickoff. We're super excited. It's going to give a great opportunity for everyone to learn a little bit about how 1619 does our opening strategic stuff at the very beginning of the build season. My name is Owen Simon. I'm the strategy lead here at 1619.
Yes. My name is Shiva Garuda. I'm the technical program manager for 1619.
So we're going to be kind of leading through the day here. So, can you go to the next slide? So here's a kind of overview of real kickoff. So this is mock kickoff, so everything's kind of shortened, and it's, kind of just to get a look at what we normally do. But so on real kickoff, this year is going to be January 10th. That's just for this 2026 build season. It changes your year, but usually very beginning of January. So it's the whole day, January 10th and 11th, is when we do strategic stuff to kind of learn the game, start thinking of different robot actions and archetypes we're going to do. If you don't know these words, we'll be talking about them throughout the day, so you get a chance to learn. So some of the goals written on here about what we want to do during kickoff is to evaluate viability and productivity of all possible robot strategies. With reference to team resources, we want to choose strategy that best helps us meet team goals. We want to develop a prioritized list of robot actions, and we want to ideate subsystem level robot designs that can complete chosen robot actions. So those are all things that as you go throughout the day, you kind of thinking about how the different things, the different activities we're doing kind of line up with those goals. And so so kickoff is a huge driver for this goal achievement, and it's really key to keep emotions out of the decision. So this process kind of helps to make sure that nobody is thinking emotionally about what they want to do and rather what is best for the strategy of the team. So this is the agenda for today. So we're running a little late here, so we're going to try and keep the expectations and overview part here at the beginning short before we watch the game reveal video, which is it's a past game, so it's going to be exactly like the ones you will experience during this real upcoming season. Before we then read the rules for about 25 minutes before we go on a little snack break / walk. So after that, we'll come back and do a robot action list, and then robot archetypes before going on a longer walk, and then do human simulations, and then do a prioritizing action list, and then top priority mechanism creation. So a little note on the setup of the agenda for the day is that everything builds on itself. So we start with the very basics of getting the game, and then reading the rules, and just taking notes on different elements of the game and kind of what we learned from reading the manual. And we kind of come together so we can all learn the different things that we read as tables. And then as we go, it gets more and more complex, and we start getting into the more detailed strategy and starting to really get an upcoming plan for how we're going to do the rest of the season. So here's a look at what real kickoff looks like. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same thing except a full day. This is just the first day. As we said, it's 2 days, but this is the first full day. And so ours is pretty much this except shortened to half a day. Break it off with the game reveal.
Welcome to the first robotics competition and the 2017 game, First Steamworks! 2 adventurer clubs, alliances of 3 teams each, prepare for a long-distance airship race by collecting fuel to build steam pressure, installing gears to engage rotors, and climbing aboard for liftoff. The airship best prepared for flight when the launch timer reaches 0 wins. Matches begin with robots touching their Alliance station wall. Teams may preload up to 10 fuel elements and 1 gear on each robot. Fuel is available in hoppers placed around the perimeter of the field. Additional fuel and gears are available at the Alliance loading station. During the first 15 seconds of the match, the robots are autonomous. They work to reach their baseline, score fuel in the boiler, or deliver gears to the airship. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human drivers remotely control their robots. They continue to gather fuel from the field in the hoppers to score in the boilers. They also collect and deliver more gears. Human players located behind the Alliance station wall deliver gears and recycled fuel to robots through the loading stations. Steam pressure builds as fuel is added to the boilers. The high boiler produces more steam per unit of fuel than the low boiler. The more fuel scored in the boiler, the higher the steam pressure climbs. Alliances earn points for the amount of steam pressure built, and pressure over a certain level earns an additional bonus. Each airship has 4 rotors, with some gears missing. Oh dear. Gears delivered to the airship lifts are retrieved by the airship pilots, who then place them in the gear train to engage and spin up the rotors. Each rotor requires an increasing number of gears to become engaged. Points are awarded for each airship rotor turning by the end of the match. Airships spinning all 4 rotors also earn an additional bonus. Towards the end of each match, pilots deploy ropes for their robots to climb aboard. Alliances earn points for each robot secured aboard the airship by the end of the match. Be prepared. It takes time for the boilers to process fuel for the airships. Fuel put in the boiler near the very end of the match may not get processed before the airship takes off. The alliance with the highest score at the end of the match earns the win. Ready your robot, fly your banner, and prepare to take flight with this year's first robotics competition, First Steamworks! Ha ha!
There will be a QR code to scan the abridged manual, or you can type in the URL if you're on a computer, and we have some paper manuals can pass out each day. So a few different options. Okay, so with the rules reading for this, we're going to do everyone reads the match playing overview section, so that's pages 41 through 45, and that is in the bottom right corner, the real original manual's numbers, 41 through 45, not like the PDF numbers. And then tables 1 and 2 in there, you guys read the first half of the arena section, so that's 15 through 29. Table 3 and 4, you read the second half of the arena section, so this starts with the hopper section and goes to the end, so that's 29 through 38, and then tables 5 and 6 is the game rules.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Cassie. I'm the strategy mentor for Upgrade Partner. The manual that we've sent you guys is abridged, so we've taken out a bunch of the extra stuff that First usually has in the manual, but it's the same format as what you normally see. During this process, during actual kickoff, we take like 2 hours to do this. This is the point where we like dig into the manual and make sure that everybody understands the whole thing. Here, we're just going to have you guys pick out the highlights. The main thing to note is that everyone reads the match playing sections, but the sections that only your team is reading, it's your responsibility to pull out the pertinent information so that we can collect all of the aspects of the game. So when you're reading through, make sure that you're taking notes on the really critical information so that when you come back as a team to discuss those, you can kind of just fire off the important points. We do this as a way to kind of digest the manual in a faster and more efficient way so that we're not having the entire team read 140 pages of something. And we can get to the strategy quickly. Not to say that you shouldn't read the whole thing eventually, but they have one same time. So yeah, the sections that your table is responsible for, make sure you pull out the big points. Big points being day of, we're looking at all of the minutiae of like how big is the goal compared to the size of the game piece, that kind of thing. We don't have time to get into that level of detail today, so we're just going to get the highlights. Okay? Sweet. Okay, so April, can you go 2 slides down? Yep. This is the point of the kickoff where we're just trying to get all of the pertinent information into one section. So we're going to go pretty quickly through this stuff. But the goal here is that once we have all of this written down, this is also a helpful place for us to reference later because we have notes taken on everything. So we've got our team up here who's going to take notes, but the goal is to just kind of go through and make sure that we capture everything about the game. So I'll hand this microphone around to folks who are ready to chat, but first things first, let's just talk about auto. What are we supposed to be doing in auto, and what are the restrictions? Anything.
So this can literally be any rules that you can think of that you read.
Yeah, we're just trying to get the basics of what's going on in auto. Oh, also quick rule, we all have the manuals in front of us. If you're calling out a rule, make sure that you're reading it, not like from memory, because these conversations can get really convoluted. Cool.
Okay.
auto is the first 15 seconds of the match, and the robots run off of autonomous code, not driver input.
Where do robots start?
They start on the alliance wall, the drive station wall.
Cool. And what preloads do you have?
You can have a gear and
Is it and or? You can have both? Okay. Alright, what else do you get points for in auto?
you get points for crossing the starting line in auto.
What else can you do in auto? Can you score
You
anything?
can score for balls into the
Fuel?
what's it called? The boiler. Yeah, the fuel is in the boiler. And either the high or low zones. Yeah.
You got it. Go for it. Alright, can you do anything with the gears?
Per 7-6 auto period rules, you have to stay out of the opponent's launch pad during auto, and no part of your buffer can be inside the launch pad. And then also the pilot or like human player can't take the gear that's preset until auto is over.
So we can score the gear if they can't pull it up. Is that what that means?
It's up with your
Looks like one out there.
One gear that's placed at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a gear that's already inside the airship, which you can't score until auto over. It's a major battle.
Okay. What else are we missing in auto?
You can store gears during autonomous, and it is worth more than autonomous.
Okay, can the pilot pull it up?
Yes.
Okay.
So, not specific to auto, but when you store the fuel in the processor, you get fill scales, but the number of fuel you need to get one of the pressure points is reduced during auto. So during auto, instead of 9 and 3 for the low and high goals, it's 3 and 1 for the low and high goals.
You get 40 match points for starting your rotor in auto.
Okay. Sweet. I think that's everything in auto. We can come back if we miss something, but let's move on to Teliat. So once Teliat happens, what can we do from there?
Like specific to Teliat or auto, you can multiple here, and you can like control 2 gears account per round.
Is there a limit on how many fuel you can use? Okay. And you can hold both at the same time? Okay.
It's 3 in the top boiler for 1 point and 9 in the bottom for 1 point.
I think the next slide we have the scoring table copy pasted. That does kind of streamline it, but we want to keep track of any like differences in auto and Teliat. Is there any specific thing that we can do in Teliat that we can do in auto or anything like that? Go ahead.
there's a 5 count on kids.
We'll get to that in field marshals later too. Okay, I think this is most people can tell you. We'll get into specific field elements and stuff in a little bit, but we can always come back. All right, endgame. What are we doing in endgame?
Barrel boat.
During endgame, there's ropes that get lowered from the airship that the robots have to climb up. And climbing up a rope scores 50 points.
Ropes may be replaced by the team so long as they comply with certain rules.
One robot can be on this rope. You can't touch your opponent's ropes.
Nobody climbs.
robot touching it.
Sorry, can you just have them repeat that? Because I don't think people up here could hear that stuff.
There can only be one robot on each rope, and you can't touch another robot on the rope or the opponent's robots during the game.
Or the work. There's a touchpad on the quest, and it has to be displaced by 1 inch, pressure for at least 1 second, and then still being touched at 0 seconds. So that's the thing that the flag out. Oh. Off the ground. Or is that actually? So it's not just routine lifting, it's being pressing that.
Cassie, do you want to repeat that because nobody could hear what you said?
In order for the climb to count, it's not just being off the ground, you have to have engaged the touchpad at the top of the rope.
If an opposing team touches a robot, they are automatically counts as a climb.
Okay. Let's talk about robot restrictions. This is usually like size, weight. The weight is usually the same. Can we extend? Is there a height restriction? What's going on with that? Who read that section? I think there was a figure with boxes.
Yes, there's two possible robot measurements. You do 36 inch by 40 inch on the floor, 24 inches high, 30 inch by 32 inch on the floor, 36 inches high. They're all measured off the floor, so you can't extend it in a box, but if you're climbing up in the air, still, as long as it's within that boundary box, if you like flat on the floor, it counts.
Can you repeat the exact numbers?
Yeah, so it's 36 inch by 40 inch on the floor, 24 inch high. And then 30 inch by 32 inches, 36 inches high. Boundary boxes.
Are we allowed to extend outside of those during the match? At all? No?
That was G4.
Okay. All right. So this is pretty great starting point. Let's go ahead and move on to scoring and dig a little bit more into those. We do just copy and paste in the scoring table. Table is the word. Critical here. Let's talk about ranking points. How do we get ranking points?
I just wanted to point out there's no ranking point for climb, so I mean, you know, if it's the difference between a ranking point or not, you should focus on like.
Let's talk about what they are.
Yeah. No ranking point for climb. There's a ranking point for 40 kPa and higher, and there's a ranking point for all 4 motors turning, and then there's 2 RPE for one.
For how many motors can you?
4.
I think we should probably discuss why ranking points are important.
Oh yes, okay. RP is ranking points. During elimination matches, your rank in the order of all the teams is not based on your like raw score win-lose percentage. It is based on your ranking score. So you get 2 points for winning usually. You get 1 point for tie, but then there's 2 other ways during the match to get ranking points. So we always want to focus on this so that we can focus on that strategy and be part of the competition.
So I actually had a strategy question. Jason said it was okay, ask the question, so hopefully, if it's not, it's
I'll fight him.
perfect. Thank you for that. So out of curiosity, you mentioned that like doing a touchpad doesn't give you ranking points, but it does give you 50 match points, and winning the match gets you 2 ranking points. So how do you actually? What's the calculus there? How do you actually decide whether it's like, well, 50 might be enough to win,
Yeah.
so we should go for that?
That's kind of the goal of the leader activity component. So, yeah, the overall structure, we're just trying to get the rules written down, make sure that everybody understands the game, and then after this, we start talking about what the relative value of doing one thing or another is. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about rotors for a second. How do we get rotors spinning? How many gears do we need?
There are 4 rotors, and they must be activated in sequence from 1 to 4. Rotor 1 requires 1 gear to be placed. Rotor 2 requires 2 gears to be placed. The third one requires 4, and the last one requires 6. And notably, rotors 3 and 4 are pre-populated with 1 and 2 gears respectively. So in total, you need 8 to get rotor 4 going, but you need to place 6.
And I kind of jumped ahead, that's the next slide. But we already talked about the difference between auto and teleop scores. Let's just write a note about that to make sure that we're paying attention to that 3 times rule. And then fouls. What are fouls this year, and how many points are direct penalties?
A normal just foul is 5 points to the opposing alliance. A tech foul is 25 points to the opposing alliance. And then there's yellow cards and red cards. Red cards get you disqualified from the match.
What's that? Disqualified?
Disqualified means that, as stated in the rules, the status of a team as determined by the head referee in which their team receives 0 match points in a qualification match or causes their alliance to receive 0 match points in a playoff match.
Do you have a figure number or page number for your
This is 4.4 rule violations.
Okay. It is important to note that tech fouls this year will half a client, so that's okay, so let's move on to the next slide and talk about game piece interactions. We already kind of covered the rotors, so this picture is helpful. What are the other game pieces in the game?
So there are 2 types of game piece. One are yellow wiffle balls that don't have a dimension on here, but there's a place to buy them. So they're 5-inch diameter. I just saw it. Yeah, so 5-inch diameter wiffle balls called fuel, and then gears, which are 10-tube yellow gears.
How big are the gears?
11 inches in diameter, 10 inches in pitch diameter, and 2 inches thick.
All right. Field elements. So we have the airship. What other field elements do we have? And also, people who have not spoken up, try to mix it up a bit. Yeah.
There's boilers for each team.
Cool. Which ones are yours?
The one's opposite of us.
Is it opposite or nearest?
Nearest what?
Nearest the driver's station or far side of the driver's station? Nearest? Okay.
What about the airship?
Yeah, is the airship on the near side or the far side?
It's near side.
Okay, so all of your scoring elements are on the near side of the field.
The high boiler has more like space in it than the low boiler does.
Do you have space measurements on those real quick? Just so we know how far we need to shoot stuff? 8 feet is the high goal?
8 foot 1 inch.
8 foot 1 inch, and what about the low goal?
1 foot 6 inches.
1 foot 6. Sweet. Okay, let's talk about where we get field openings. There's preloads, but then where do we get one? It's harder not to come back to this one.
Get the load stations and then get the load stations and also the loading stations. So get them completely. What's up with the hoppers?
There's overflow loading stations, and those are only fuel. And I like to think about it, it kind of just overflows the fuel. It can give a lot of fuel at once. And then there's return loading stations, and they can be fuel or gears. And it kind of there's a slot to the return loading station where it slides out the gears of fuel.
It might be helpful to pull up the field screenshot that's like 4 slides back, just so we can. Yeah. Okay, so these are loading stations, true? Are these just returns or are these normal loads?
That's the
return?
overflow.
Or yeah, sorry, the overflow loading station. Okay. So our regular loading stations are on the opposite side of the field, right? From your driver station. You have one close, but you have to go through the rigmarole of overflow. How else do we get APs loaded?
So there are hoppers. There's 3 of them on the side with the processor, or the boiler, and there are 2 on the side without the boiler. Those are 2 kind of boxes that when you run into them, it dumps out fuel.
How much fuel?
It's 50 per each one.
Okay.
Give or take 2, I think it's.
Okay. And do those refill?
No.
They don't refill. Okay. So first come, first served on those, yeah? Okay. What else are we missing? Scoring locations. So we talked about the boilers. Where are we putting gears?
You load the gears onto like little hooks on the bottom of the airships, and they get brought up to the human players, who then take them and put them on the rovers.
Just ask, are they hooks?
It's like little hooks.
Little hook things.
I don't know how to describe them.
No, you're good. In a real kickoff, we would dig into those and see exactly what those, the geometry of those look like so that we can start thinking about design, but we'll call them hook things for now.
Going off of that, in section 7.5, rule 6G26, a gear has to use the lift. A human player can't just take the gear off the robot. So that's really important that you have to make sure it puts you on the lift.
Okay. Field interaction. This is mostly just we should talk about if there are safe zones, if there are areas that we need to stay out of, anything like that.
The key, which is by your boiler, the opponent can only be in it for 5 seconds.
Are there any contact restrictions in that area?
Just the same pin rules.
Okay.
5 second pin.
The launch pad, that's what it's called, is in the area from the driver station to the white line, and you can only fire balls within that white line.
Full port shot. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. I think we've already covered most of this stuff. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was moving on to the zone slide because we're already kind of good. Okay. Yep.
Just out of curiosity, are we allowed to like cross the field and like push on all of the things that release the 50 fuel?
Yeah. Good question. Yes? No? Yes? Except in auto, right? You can't cross into the other person's launch pad. But after that, yes?
But how many are inside the launch pad? One in each team.
Yeah, because like there's
Everyone is done by pressing the tag instead.
Can you say that again?
For all of the hoppers, the 3 on one side, 2 on the other, there is a central pad which you must press with at least 25 times of force in order to release all of the fuel from those hoppers.
From both hoppers.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Really snap.
So that's actually good enough on the last slide.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about zone restriction. Unless you have another thing about jet hoppers.
I was just gonna make a note that you can't really collect from both of the hoppers at once because you're running into it. But then you can really only be under one of the hoppers at a time, so the rest of all can just go to the floor.
So during real kickoff, we would start looking at the robot width requirements with respect to those hoppers to see if that's true, because you can't extend, but we don't have time to put a pin in it. Alright, other safe zones or restricted zones? Are we going to get fouls for going anywhere? I'm going to assume silence means no. I think that might have been in the rules section. You can read the last bit.
According to the G13, you can't touch an opponent's robot when they retrieve it.
Alright, so I think that's the only foul zone that you gotta avoid, correct?
What about scoring gears? What safe zone for scoring gears?
I don't know about the gears, but key, someone mentioned earlier, there was like a 5-second like rule for the end of key.
And what's the penalty for being in both of those zones? Is that a foul or a tech foul? Can someone check what kind of foul those zone violations are?
This G17 is called.
So 5 points, no. Sweet.
This is kind of all the same zones, it's supposed to just all like when you can't touch a robot, but if a robot's fallen over, it has a 10-second grace period where if you touch it, it's a foul, and if it's intentional, then it's a yellow card.
If it's a what? It's a yellow card?
If it's intentional.
If you knock someone over.
Well, no, they're falling over and you're making guessing it's not making it's what they do.
Even if they're on your team and you're trying to get them back up.
If they're on the focus, while they're down.
So, also, the retrieval zone foul for touching a robot in the retrieval zone is actually a 10 foul. That's a 25 points.
Alright, let's talk about scoring zones. I think we already kind of touched on this. You can only shoot at your boiler in your own launch pad. Are there any other scoring specific zones?
If you want to call the hooks that the gears have to go up on a zone because they can only go up on like the buoy question mark specific gears.
Okay, speaking of which, where do they keep the players?
first human player, I think it's just one in the center for the what's it called? The ear airship.
Remember the rules about reading or like making sure? Like, if we're not sure if it's 1 or 2, let's check the manual.
Yeah.
Or 3.
Yeah, or 3.
Yeah. But the role of the human players is to keep those ears on so that the rotors can be activated.
Alright, let's look at how many human players are where. We got some stuff outside the field too.
I know there can be 4 human players, and 2 of them can be in the airship. I don't know where it is, but I know that's somewhere there.
So you gotta find it to double check.
I'm looking for it.
So the human player is responsible for managing game pieces and using a maximum of 4 of the drive team. Then the pilot is responsible for installing gears, starting rotors, and deploying nodes. And that's 1 per drive team. There can be 2 pilots from different drive teams in the airship. And then,
So you can have 4 total, 2 in the airship and 2 outside doing game piece stuff.
That's all 4.5.
4.5. Okay. Sweet. It's also 3.4. 3.4. Okay. All right. I think this is most of what we need for the rest of the discussion. Is there any other major rules that you guys read that you feel like we need to capture? I know that this is not exhaustive because we are doing it on a truncated schedule, but anything else that you think is critical as we're talking about it?
With the boiler, you have like 3 bins. One of them is the return bin, 2 of them are overflow bins. And the return bins can only go to the return loading station, and overflow bins only to the overflow loading station.
Okay, so that's important. Let's talk a little bit about how those get filled up. Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk more about that.
going off of that, the overflow stage, the overflow bin goes to the opponent, not yourself.
How does the overflow bin get filled?
Once the main bin for you is filled, then the ball overflow into the other 2 bins. Is where that lives.
So you only get overflow fuel if the opposing alliance has let their return bins overflow? Is that true? Okay.
An interesting thing about the pre-populated gears for the rotors on the airship. Section is it? 3.4.2 says that number of pre-populated gears can change for district championships or first champs. So that's odd.
Yeah, usually for kickoff we're just looking at what regionals.
It also says that human players can replace the return bin in relation to overtime of the overflow bin.
Okay. So I think we've got a good summary of the rules. Now we understand kind of how the scheme is going to work broadly. The next thing we move on to is just going through robot actions. So writing down all the things that our robot can do. We can do this relatively quickly. It's easy to overthink it, but it is literally just what are the actions, not mechanisms, but actions that the robot can do. This is an example. I'll let Owen take over from here. But
yeah, so this is kind of an example from I think it's 2022. I don't know if that.
So, is this things that a robot can do, or things that a robot can do in this game?
In this game.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the granularity is down to move forward, move backwards.
Can you give a specific example? So it's pick up a.
That's what's up.
Yep.
Yeah. So it can be as broad as just drive forward and backwards, but then it's also as precise as the game as it's the climb and switch runs. It's broad and specific to the game. So it's just any robot actions that we can for this game, but just FRC competitions in general. Alright, so we can start getting some mobility actions. Drive forward. Drive forward. And backwards. Drive forwards and backwards. What other actions for mobility? Try to walk around.
Yeah, just shout it out. Yep.
Turn left and right. Do we got other mobility actions? Matt?
Climb the rope.
Climb the rope.
Drive left and right. So rather
Drive left and right.
like swerve, right, turn.
Strafe. Strafe. Do we have anything that has to do with like the game pieces?
That's the next.
That's right. My
the
bad.
next one.
Where mobility?
The only other one that I would put in here is not get pushed around. So like stay in place when under defense.
Okay. Stay in place when under defense.
Yep.
Would move out of the zone in auto be mobility?
That's more of a like
Arena interaction?
yeah, that's more of just like an action during the match, but it's included in these. Mobility is usually super short. If you think of anything else, we don't have extension outside of our frame perimeter this year, so it's just we'll move on to the next section.
All right, so we're gonna move on to game piece interactions. So it should have a lot more options for actions. Putting gears on the airship.
Score fuel in the low boiler.
Score fuel in the low boiler.
Picking up fuel.
From where? From the floor or from the loading station?
I guess you could put
Or
both.
both.
It depends what the team wants.
I mean, we're just listing all the actions that we could do, not what we want to do yet.
Both were, yeah.
Yep. But those are two separate items.
Picking up fuel.
Score fuel in high boiler.
Score fuel in high boiler.
What else? Yep.
Pick up fuel from the hopper.
Pick up fuel from the hopper.
Is that like catch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Collect from the hopper. Sorry, what?
Collect gears.
Collect gears.
From where?
From loading points.
Okay, loading points.
Ground collect fuel.
Ground collect fuel.
Or gears.
Or gears.
That's two different actions. Yep. Perfect.
Then this side.
So we want to be really thorough with this. One thing that is also less intuitive is like releasing the rope. Sometimes that is useful if you don't want a one-shot climb, or releasing a game piece if you pick something up and you're in a game that has a penalty for having more than one or something like that, you want to be able to spit it back out. So let's make sure that we capture stuff like that as well. Yeah, Jason?
Do we do preloads here?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's one, and then I would also say storage of game pieces is also an important thing to think about here.
Totally.
Do we have any? If it here, okay.
Touching the touchpad.
Yep.
Hitting the touchpad when climbing.
That's more arena interaction, but we'll write it down in the section.
Like maintain control of the fuel if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Keep, like, don't let it.
Yeah, like contain the fuel. Mm-hmm. Transport.
I guess the same thing for the gears.
Yep. Would there ever be any reason to like push, like snow shovel them around, like push and herd game pieces?
We could.
Yeah, that's right there.
Option.
Yep. Okay.
Push game pieces.
Dislodge stuck game pieces.
Yes.
Dislodge stuffed game pieces.
And let's break that into both. All right. Yep.
It might be important to know that you can't throw the gears.
Yes. So we wouldn't put that on the action list because it isn't allowed during this game.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on to field interactions.
Yeah.
Arena interactions. Sorry. Yes.
All right.
Push
Yeah.
the hopper.
Yeah.
Push the hopper. Then
Touchpad. Push the touchpad.
hit the touchpad.
Mm-hmm.
Cross the line in auto.
Nailed it.
Cross the line on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a penalty for shooting the fuel outside the arena?
I think if it's not intentional, no. But if it is, then yeah. Are there any visual targets this year?
Yes. See the visual targets on the high hopper.
Yes.
Okay. See the visual.
Some visuals on, like, towards the drive station. I couldn't figure out exactly where it was, but there's other visuals.
Yeah. Which we normally would take the time to list out where all of them are and make sure that we're breaking them out by like height and field of view, but once again, truncated.
Okay.
What else can we do with the arena? We talked a lot about climbing the rope, but how are we gonna like collect the rope? How are we gonna get it aligned first? So like grasp the rope, get into position.
Like align with the rope and then grab the rope.
Yeah. Yeah, break into individual actions there.
Also let go of the rope.
Let go of the rope.
Gently let go of the rope.
Yes.
Don't fall.
Eject.
Just like climb down the rope.
Yeah. All right. I think that's pretty much everything on the arena interaction. And then robot to robot.
Push the other robot.
Push other robots.
Yep.
Play defense effectively. You never know when to move it.
That's not an action, but
How are you going to play defense effectively?
yeah. No. But like playing defense is like being able to push another robot, being able to maneuver, that kind of thing.
Pin for how many seconds?
Pin.
Not break when you run into other robots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Block fuel.
Block fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's good.
Be able to evade other robots.
Yep. Evade other robots.
Okay. I think this is pretty much all the actions.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Helping to the alliance members.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So how you can like get inside the frame perimeter of another robot, or that can break another robot.
Okay. Don't have anything that can break over another robot or be inside of.
So that's more of like a design element.
Okay.
That's not an action. Yeah.
We can.
I was actually going to ask it something that would violate that rule. So.
Okay, I think we can move on to archetypes.
All right.
Block healers, like block them from getting around
Oh, yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. Because we're going to talk about what archetypes are. Yeah.
Cool. So the next step during kickoff is to create some viable like robot types that we think are going to be used during this season. So these will also be used when we do our like human simulations to kind of get a feel for how the game works. And so each archetype is going to be a specific combination of robot actions. So we use the actions that we just came up with to decide what these archetypes can include. And so we're going to try and get down to 5 archetypes for our simulations. And there's sometimes no such thing as a jack of all trades robot. So that kind of means we can't be, because ideally the best strategy would be to do everything perfectly all the time at the most efficiency, highest speed. That's the best strategy. But that's not always possible. So, okay, so we have a few examples of some archetypes before we start coming up with our own. Oh, wait, do you have a question?
When you do archetype, do you break it down into different size robots?
If it pertains to the way that archetype is trying to play the game, yes. Like if you have a game where there's like a height restriction, there's a game piece in the middle of the field that you have to be short enough to go under, then yes. But if there's a game where that doesn't matter,
Say like last year where you had to be able to maybe reach up really high to place
totally.
Right.
The algae.
Algae.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, the one more note on the jack of all trades robot. The point of this whole exercise is to understand what is going to be the best like bang for our buck. So like, if you can't do everything, what do you want to do? If you can do 2 things basically, what do you want to be able to do? What are the highest priority things? So that's why we say in our archetype list, we are not going to have a jack of all trades that just says it's the best at everything, because that's not useful. But the way that you're thinking of like, okay, if I have something that can, drive under something or is especially tall, that's exactly the the direction that we want to be thinking.
Okay, so the next slides we have, so these are all examples from this 2025 season. So 3100 last year, especially at Lake Superior, because kind of archetypes are usually more visible earlier on in the season, because as it goes, people expand to become more of jack of all trades robots, especially by worlds. You'll see more of that sort of thing. But at the Lake Superior Regional, 3100 was very much an algae bot, so they could only score algae, and they could deep climb, and they were a sort drive. And then
what couldn't they do?
Oh, so they could not score coral. So that was the important decision, the strategic decision that they made was to focus more on algae, assuming that other robots would do
coral, so they could be an useful addition to an alliance by focusing on algae and not doing any coral. And then humans was a defense bot, so they didn't do any scoring at all, but then they were really good. They had a lot of training for playing defense, so they did a great job like locking down other teams. So that's kind of the decision they made, was do defense. And then so this is a 695. They did all levels of coral. They did not score any algae, so they went fully coral, no algae at all, which, looking at the game, that's where the most points were, where all the ranking points were, so that's what they decided to do. And then for just a final little archetype example would be the kit bot. Even though it's not necessarily what other teams, for the most part, did, that is an archetype, as it can only score trough, so that's no upper levels of coral or algae, and it cannot climb.
One note about the kit bot, since that is revealed at the time of the reveal video, that is usually the first archetype that we have in mind. So we know that robots are most likely going to be capable of the kit bot actions because that's what they've published. So that's useful when we talk about later strategies.
Okay, so now we have the okay.
Yeah, we should go to the spreadsheet.
Do you have any questions about archetypes before we start drafting our own?
How are we going to draft them?
Oh yeah. All right. So we can go back to the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So at the very top, we have some names for different archetypes. And so when you have, we just kind of go around and you can raise your hand and have an idea that you want to name your archetype and then what your archetype can do. And remember, we're not doing jack of all trades, so you have to pick specific actions from the action list that it can do.
You should also try to make these archetype combos strategically valid. We don't just want a random collection of robot actions. Think through if you're saying I want a robot that can only pick up gears from the ground but can only shoot fuel into the top boiler, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. As we're collecting robot actions into an archetype, try to focus on 2 or 3 really main scoring activities, and then focus on some drawbacks that if you could leave that behind, what you might want to. The idea behind this is not necessarily we're trying to find the best robot, we're just trying to figure out what archetypes we might see out in the field. And like Owen mentioned, we're going to use these archetypes in our simulations later to see which combinations kind of come out on top. So start thinking.
Wrap up your conversations.
Let's switch back to the archetypes page.
April. Can we switch to the archetypes page?
All right. Let's just go down the row, maybe?
Okay. All right, table 1. Do you guys have archetypes you want to share?
Max 3 per table.
Let's just shout them all out. We'll capture them all, and then we'll pair down.
So we have a gearbot, and it collects the gears from the station, and then it can fly, and then it scores the gears. We have a fuel bot.
Hold on. Carter, slow down. We're taking notes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Then we have a fuel bot that ground collects, and then it only stores the fuel in the low section, and then it can climb. And then we have a fuel bot plus that has station collect. It can do low and high and no climb.
No fun.
And then we have a shooter, which can do ground collect, and then it can do high scoring, and then it has no climb.
Do any of those interact with the hopper?
The question is, does any of those interact with the hopper?
I mean, strategically it would make sense to make the ones that had ground collect be able to knock down one onto the ground. So that would be fuel bot and future.
Cool. All right, table 2. The loading station?
Loading station. And
Return?
he only collects gears and then places them on the airship. So he's just a gearbot that focuses on carrying gears.
How's that?
And then we also kind of had a variation on Jerry. We can call it Mary. That also can pick up balls and put them in from the feeder stations and puts them in the low processor.
Cool.
Wait, sorry. Places what? Pick up fuel and.
It places fuel where?
In the low.
Low boiler?
Low boiler. And also does everything that Jerry does. But it's kind of
Just Jerry but better. Okay.
We also had some word of, I guess we'll make him another name. I'll call him Gina. We'll call him Harry.
Keep it going.
But one that can shoot into the top. And since we can load, I think with 10, then this would be one that can like hold 10 and load it into the shooter and fire them quickly so we can get the quick accomplice points. Is that how many? I can't remember what as many is. It's just you preload 10. Okay. Then more than
How does it collect? How does Harry collect?
I think Harry would either be grab from whatever you can start with or like a hop down collection. So if it's from any like the hoppers or from the loading stations.
Okay.
Alright, so group 3, the Computing Cobras, presents Cobrat. So Cobrat is a robot that is a high boiler-based fuel robot that has a fast ground intake that intakes balls, and then catapult shooter that catapults the balls into the high boiler. And we also had another robot called the Gear Runner. And so the Gear Runner gets gears from the return loading station and then goes to the airship and places gears on those hood thingies. And the purpose of the robot is to keep cycling back and forth and doing gears.
How many fuel can Cobra shoot at one time?
One at a time, but it's very fast.
Fast. Fast catapult.
No, not that one. Maybe like one side of the robot, there's just this ground intake, and it'll collect the robots as it goes in the ground intake. And it'll just shoot like maybe 3 seconds later.
Okay. Can I grab the microphone real quick? One thing to note on this activity is that part of what we try to do during mock kickoff is not put any mechanism ideas in until we understand the actions we want to do. The difference is kind of subtle, but if we decide from the archetypes that we need a robot that can shoot fuel, at a certain speed, or we need a robot that can pick up from the floor, we don't want to have that limited by this is a catapult shooter, so can a catapult shoot that fast? We just want to be focused on what the robot can do and then tailor our mechanism design to that. When we're talking about archetypes, we'll flesh these out a little bit more, but we want to be thinking about how quickly something can shoot, how quickly something can collect, just based on its archetype, not necessarily a theoretical mechanism that we've got. Yeah? Okay, sweet.
Alright.
It's on.
Alright, so we made a defense bot.
Yeah.
And it's a box on wheels.
Yes.
And it can fly.
Nice.
And then we have a second bot called Terry.
Yes.
It's a collection bot, and it can only collect and deposit it. But it can collect from anywhere.
What can it collect and deposit? Which type of game piece?
So the idea was that it picks everything up, but it can't store anything. So it just sort of goes over there to the other side of it. There's
Oh, it's kind of just ferrying.
And just sort of pick stuff up. Play defense.
Should we call it ferry then?
It's just a ferry bot to like pull the.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. Deal. Okay.
Ferry.
So does it dump out fuel onto the ground?
Yeah.
It requires a ground collect partner?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. We're getting somewhere. All right, next table.
All right. So our first one's called Shopping Cart. It's got a ground collect, and it has a you can collect from the hoppers.
Ground collect what?
Or the balls, and it scores in the high goal or the high boiler, and it can store a lot of them, so it can shoot many of them at a time, and it also fights.
Cool.
And then we have Larry, and Larry is a ground collect gear bot, which we thought would be interesting, and he also fights.
Nothing else? Sweet. Assuming it scores the gears. Okay.
Okay, our first one is called Double Trouble. This one can shoot into both, and it can climb, and it collects from the ground.
All fuel?
Shoot into both levels of the fuel.
Okay. Does it do anything with gears?
No.
Okay.
And then our other one is called Master of None, and this one can score the fuel into the low one. It can collect the fuel from both the station and the ground, but it can only score it in the low boiler. And then it can collect the gears from the loading station, score the gears, and it can climb.
Can I add another one that I didn't bring up because I thought it would be, but it wasn't?
Totally.
So this one's called Carry. And it's a ground collect fuel bot that has a pivoting shooter.
We're not talking about mechanisms.
That can score low or high.
There you go.
Low and high. It can score low and high. And has a climb.
Alright. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've got a good broad range, first thing we want to do is double check and make sure that we don't have any missing archetypes. One thing I notice is that we don't have a whole lot of robots that can do both gear and fuel, and we don't have a lot of variation in collection methods. So a lot of the time archetypes in a game like this, it's going to be the question of like whether you prioritize scoring or whether you prioritize ground collect, because collecting from the loading stations or hoppers and stuff is usually a lot easier. So as we go through, let's just keep in mind that we want a variety of those strategies, and then we'll try to condense these into like 6 that we'll test out in our simulations.
Great.
Yeah, let's go through.
Alright. Do we have, is their opinion on what we should condense, or is it us that does that?
Huh?
Is it their opinion on what
Let's
we should
just talk through
Okay.
where we're at, and then basically we want to.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
There might be one more comment here.
Oh.
Okay.
Brave little toaster, so I think they should
Only
only drive.
drive.
Only drive? Wait, what do you want to call it?
Brave little toaster.
Brave little toaster.
And we want to condense it into realistic ones. So let's go from the top and try to flesh them out. And then as we get further down, if there are ones that are like basically the same or we want to combine them, that's how we'll condense.
Okay. Okay, so let's start at the very top. So we have the gear bot. So we have that it can collect gears from station, can climb, and then scores the gears. Seems pretty realistic. It's our very first one. We can go down to the fuel bot. So ground collects fuel, only scores fuel in the low boiler, can climb, and it interacts with the hopper. Then we got fuel bot plus, which station collect scores high boiler and does not climb. So far the 3 seem pretty separate, so we'll leave them for now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have shooter, so that's ground collect, score high, no climb, interact with hopper. Do we know what it? Oh wait, what
I
it
think
collects?
that's all fuel.
Fuel. Okay.
But that is pretty close
It's
to
very
FuelBot Plus.
Well,
Oh,
ground
sure.
collect. Ground collect.
Yeah. So let's combine those maybe. Yeah.
Well, one's a high score. One's fuel bot's a low fuel.
Yep. This one's only
Shooter's
high.
the high score.
Yep. All right. Let's keep walking through, but we'll flag that fuel bot and shooter probably.
Pretty similar. Okay.
Yeah.
We do have to get this down to 6, so there's some things that might have to get sacrificed. Okay, so then we have Jerry. So fast robot that collects gears from the loading station and only places on the airship.
That is basically Gearbot, but we didn't specify whether or not Gearbot could climb. So.
Yeah, it can climb.
Wait, didn't? Cool. So we're condensing. We're getting rid of Jerry instead.
I mean, do we get rid of Jerry or do we get rid of Gearbot?
Gotta get rid of Gearbot.
I feel like Jerry's got to stick
Gearbot's
around.
not a name. Jerry.
Great. Okay, so we go on to Mary. So that's Jerry plus picking up fuel and scores fuel in the low boiler.
Sounds pretty
good.
Yeah. I think we should keep something like that because it's one of the only ones that we have that does both.
Great.
So far.
Okay.
So it's fuel bot that can do gears.
Yes.
Great. Okay, then we have Harry. So, oh, go ahead.
Is that so? I know we were saying shooter and fuel bot are pretty similar.
Right.
Keeping Mary, does that mean we can lose fuel bot? Because Mary is just higher fidelity fuel bot?
Right. So I think we're getting to exactly where we want to be with these discussions because there aren't that many gears in the game. And so having robots that are only gear bots, I think we want to simulate one of them, but having a robot that can do lower score and a little bit of gear stuff seems realistic for early competition. So I like the idea of combining Mary and Fuelbot.
Okay. Cool. So we're combining Mary and Fuelbot? That's it.
Into what?
Mary and Shooter? We're basically adding gear alignment. Wait, did I lose track of what's going on?
Fuel bot, because Mary is just fuel bot but can do gears.
Yes.
So we're adding gears to Mary.
Yeah, so Mary can do gears and low boiler and can pick up from the ground. Is that true?
Yes.
All right, so let's do that and we'll cross out Fuelbot.
Okay.
Fuelbot can also climb.
Yeah. Okay. Let's leave it for now and we'll come back to it, yeah?
All right. So we come to Harry. So that fuels fuel into the top, can hold 10 and fire fuel quickly to gain autonomous points. Collect from Hopper.
The shooter, right?
So
yeah,
that's
shooter, but shooter.
It's just more specified.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
we can combine those?
Yeah, we should combine those.
Okay, what should we add to here? And shoot quickly.
I think when we combine them, we should just keep one of them and then cross out the other one. So
Hide that.
yeah, hide that row.
We gotta keep Harry.
I think there is.
We're always going to keep.
We're keeping the
main
names,
ones.
yep.
Great. So we'll get rid of shooter.
Okay.
And we'll go on to Cobra. So robot that can shoot high fuel. Robot that can ground intake quickly. So shoot high and ground intake.
It's similar to. It's Harry, but it's ground collect.
Harry but ground. Okay, so it's Harry but ground collect. Do we want to keep that for now?
Harry, yes.
Okay, so we'll keep Cobra for now. Gear runner collects gears from return loading station and then goes to airship and places those gears very quickly.
I think that is basically Jerry.
Yep.
So let's keep Jerry.
Gear. Okay. Defense. We haven't had defense bot yet. We're gonna
Keep it.
that. Ferry.
This is a unique
We
one.
should definitely keep this one.
We should keep ferrying.
It'll
Yeah,
be
I agree.
interesting.
Ferrying is okay. Great. Shopping cart. Ground collect fuel and scores high boiler. Can store a lot of balls. Climbs.
Is that Jerry? Can Jerry score high?
No.
No, that's Fuelbot Plus, right?
The shopping cart doesn't do.
Oh, ground collect.
Yeah.
Shopping cart has.
Fuel bot this station.
Okay, let's leave it for now.
Okay.
Keep going.
Larry. Ground collect gear bot that scores and climbs. ground collect gear.
I think that's the only
Yeah.
Okay. So we can also keep that for now.
So, actually, this is a good question. The gears, oh, I got one. The gears get loaded into the field by the loading stations. And so if you're prioritizing ground collected gears, you're relying on other people dropping them. So how likely do we think that is? And do we want to simulate one of those robots? Or, yeah, which one do we want to prioritize?
It's not. Can humans sort of drop them on the ground?
Good question. Might that be faster?
We have to get gears at the other end of the field, right?
Yes.
So there's a big time
Let me hand that back to
issue
Bruce.
if we drop it, and if we can pick it up again and try it. So the gear collection is at the other end of the field, and you have to come all the way back to your airship. So if we drop it there, the thing to think about is that we're being able to pick it up there instead of going back. So that's the trade-off.
Good point.
Yeah.
Want to
I
double
don't know
trouble?
if it's-
Yeah, let's just keep going through and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay. So next we have double trouble, so that can shoot into both boilers and can climb.
It's like Mary.
Is that a lot like Mary? Oh wait, Mary
Mary
just
fucking
scores
score.
low.
No, only. Yeah, it's Mary.
Mary plus high boiler.
So, do we talk strategy in this portion?
Yeah, so that's what
Is there
the
a reason to be able to shoot in the low boiler if you can shoot in the high boiler?
so there's there's two sides of that. There's the strategic aspect, but then there's also the like team resources aspect. So if we're kind of assuming that the low boiler is easier than the high boiler right now, and so maybe that gives a team more either more speed so they can shoot it faster or more accurately, or it gives them time to work on a secondary mechanism. So that's a good thing to keep in mind as we talk about boiling down these archetypes.
But I guess my question is, if you can shoot into the high boiler,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to have another mechanism to shoot into the low boiler.
And is that even
And
worth?
you get a third of the points in the low boiler.
That's true.
Yeah. So why bother Why bother building up both mechanisms when you could focus on high?
It could be a team that originally had a low boiler score and then added a high boiler.
Yeah, we're not.
And it's, like,
We're talking about like if we're building a robot from the start.
Okay.
So let's not worry too much about like
Okay.
So we're talking about
retrofitting.
1 through 3
Yes.
robots.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, that's a good. Do we want to keep just
So
high boiler?
I think we need to have a low boiler robot on the field just to see
Yeah, I'm saying
and confirm.
like, don't
but
have one that does both.
we
Is
should
that-
maybe have one. Yeah.
So remove double trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, Master of None. Collect fuel from the station and ground and can only score low. Can collect and score gears and climb. So gears and fuel, only the low boiler collects from the station and the ground. And it climbs. Is that
That
Pretty
one
similar to
seems.
Mary.
Master of None seems unlikely to me.
unrealistic? I think it's supposed to be like a jack of all trades, except they don't do high boiler.
Actually-
So, but
Yeah.
is that realistic?
I'm trying to understand what our other archetypes
Looks
are.
like Mary.
It does look like Mary.
Yeah.
Okay. The main thing that Master of None can do that Mary can't is the ground collect
Of
fuel.
Right.
So I actually think Mary is more realistic, personally.
Yeah. So
So
we're gonna get rid of Master of None.
I think so.
Okay. And then carry, ground collect fuel bot that can score low and high and can climb. So it's the same issue of low and high boiler.
Yep.
Yeah. And then brave little toaster can only drive.
I think that's basically the defense bot.
Yeah. So.
What is that her name?
Should we name defense Brave Little Toaster?
Yes.
Wait for the start.
Brave little air.
Can I add one?
Wait,
All right, wait, guys. Let's focus
Yep.
our discussion,
focus.
please.
How about one more that is can shoot their 10 preload and then runs gears?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Although, if they only shoot in auto, that's a lot of mechanism for 10 fuel. But we'll set it to the list and then we'll condense to 6, yeah?
I mean, if it's a fixed shooter, not really.
True.
Yeah, so let's...
Yeah, there's no intake, so you just have to... That's a good idea. Let's do it.
Call it cherry.
Cherry. All right, deal.
So
Okay.
we have to cut 4 archetypes right now. So
Or combine.
Or combine, yeah. So
And
now
we should be talking about what is semi-realistic now.
Right. Yeah, so this discussion now to like get down to 6 archetypes is not about like what's your favorite of our choices. It's about what we think is most realistic, what we think we're gonna see, so we can get most accurate look at the strategy and what we want to do with the coming season. So we can go back down the list. Starting at Fuel Bot Plus, that's the station collect fuel, score high boiler, no climb, no ground collect. So we can look if there's anything super similar to that.
I think one clarification, isn't the station collect on the other side?
There are hoppers on, so
Do you want to use a...
sorry. The return loading station is on the other side, the overflow loading station is on your side, and then the hoppers are all over. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you maybe just remind everybody what the objective of the next part is? Is it to get to 6?
Yeah, so the objective that we're doing right now is to get down to 6 archetypes. So that is combining or deleting different archetypes. So if one seems completely unrealistic, we decide like we're not going to see this, we can just delete it altogether. If 2 are super similar, except there's one extra thing that one archetype can do that the other can't, then we can decide if we want to bring that one thing over the other archetype.
I might suggest that we have Jerry and Larry duke it out so that we have one gear-only robot.
Okay. All right, so looking at Jerry and Larry, what's the main difference between them?
Ground collect
Ground
or...
collect versus station collect.
Okay.
I think we gotta get rid of Larry.
Do we have should I ask an opinion?
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have an opinion on if we want to ground collect or station collect?
Ben?
So station collect is going to be much more likely.
Yeah, much more realistic. Yeah.
So I think we have to get rid of Larry.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Jerry's the OG too. So.
Larry's out.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
If we're talking about realisticness, you're unlikely to see a Braver layer fire.
Huh?
You're unlikely to see a Braver layer fire.
Defense bot that can climb?
But like just that, right?
Oh.
You should be able to do other things too.
I don't know. I think we do.
You see a lot of defense.
Yeah, we see a lot of defense bots.
Yeah.
I thought if we want to have a defense bot, it could be a bot that can go around and like at least unload a bunch of the loading docks. So that can prevent the other team if they don't have ground collect.
It's just a drivetrain.
It's just a drivetrain. Okay, I vote we keep the defense bot. They can't climb, so they just stay out and do what they can.
But I feel like
And-
climbing is really good though, still for it.
I've seen a lot of defense bots that can climb.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, we'll keep it as is.
Especially
Can I,
Chris.
herd game pieces?
Sure, we can push them around. Yeah.
Caleb, did you have something you wanted to? Oh, okay.
Okay. I actually think if we're down to 8, I think this is a pretty good spot.
Okay.
Let's talk about what we're gonna do after the break, and
Okay.
then let people take a walk.
Great. All right. So yeah. So after. Oh. Yeah.
Harry and Fuel Bot Plus, the only difference is that one can climb. Am I right in that?
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Good point. Let's boot FuelBot.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Okay. All right. Cool. So we are going to go
Wait,
on.
we did this by accident. Can you undo Jerry? I think I went to delete the row and you went to delete the thing, so we deleted both. There we go.
Okay. Great. So yeah. So right after this, we're going to go on a walking break. So we're actually going to go outside to get a little bit of fresh air. When you come back from that break, come back up here because we're going to go into our human simulations after this. So each table will get assigned 3 archetypes, so that'll be kind of your alliance members, what robots you have on your side. And then we'll kind of, once we're back up here, we'll show how to get over to our simulation field.
A whole alliance.
We're next.
Any questions?
Wait, hold on.
You guys have your human players.
I don't think
Okay.
each table had 6.
We're trying to find.
Okay, we can get by with 5. I think the only other place that the human player needs to be, because we're not simulating the recycling, is just with the loading station.
And the blue alliance, our human player should be over there.
Yes. Yep. And then the red alliance who's feeding. We're just gonna do 5.
Okay.
And then the red alliance, human player in the airship, human player feeding game pieces. Orange sticky notes are gears. Blue sticky notes are fuel. We're assuming 1 sticky note is like 10 fuel. 5 fuel.
5 fuel. Oh, yeah, preloads. Get preloads.
Yes.
Oh.
So starting robots, get your preloads.
Oh, so it's the
What's in place safety glasses?
No, they're gonna.
Are you like all
Okay, give me a thumbs up when your team is ready. You guys good? Do you know your autos? Okay. Are you guys good? Do you know your autos? All right. So I'm going to time this. I'm going to call auto stop after the auto. Drivers behind the lines. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Yes.
5 seconds left in auto. Pause. Scorekeepers, please tally up autos. And give me a thumbs up when you're done. Good? Good? Is there anything scored on this side? Okay. Are you good? Okay, make sure you know. Alright, ready? Alright. You guys good? Done. Yeah. Alright. Auto over. Tally up starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, there's some defense happening midfield. Seems the Blue Alliance is playing some heavy defense. Meanwhile, Blue Alliance is scoring in their corner. No!
Wait, we're at the wrong one.
Perfect. Because I'm already almost that. I was like, I think.
Yeah. Alright, Blue Alliance is racking up gears on their airship.
Oh, Geo, cool. I will take
Red
that.
Alliance. Alright, Blue Alliance has 1 gear on their airship.
Let's go, Blue Alliance.
1 minute left in the match. Heavy defense. Seems there's one
Not yet.
Red Alliance has got almost 2 of their rotors spinning. We have 30 seconds left in the match. Let's see if robots make it back to their airship. They're trying to take off. Oh, sorry.
My phone has a question mark.
Seems like a traffic jam at the Blue Alliance boiler. Let's see if they can get back to their Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. End of match. Can you please raise your hand if you successfully Okay. Once our scorekeepers are good, you guys can please exit the field for our field recess. Okay. Sound good? You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
So the boxes are correct. So just the number of empty boxes.
And I can grab this one
and tell you. Just start with the one and go that way.
All right. Ready? Drivers behind the line. In 3, 2, 1, go.
That has been sorely missed. Oh, hey. Our business website will be.
Alright, auto number. 1 second.
Wait, hold up. Make sure you do the good spin to the red line field in auto. That's a tech file.
That's a tech file.
Tech file.
Okay.
Is it sad that we know?
Oh, so it looks like we had a foul on the blue line. The blue line robot entered the opposing side of the field in auto. We will look it up after the match.
Tech foul.
Tech foul?
So, sorry, can we keep up with fouls all the time?
Oh, no, that's bad.
Excellent question.
Got it. First question.
However,
Everyone gets a foul.
yes. Okay. Are we ready to continue to tell you? Alright, let's continue in 3, 2, 1, go.
It's like ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Right.
For our actual kickoff, I tried to build like a YouTube video with all of the like.
I feel like that's way more than 10.
She's carrying a lot.
I can't count. I'm pretty sure it's more than 10.
Oh, you're allowed to carry
She's carrying like 3 months.
Yeah, I'm impressed. The question is whether or not the other robots can pick them up. She's the fan who just dropped them on the side. Which is funny because that's what like
Your bumper's down.
Bumper's on the field.
Your bumper's
I feel like that robot needs to be disabled.
Yeah. RSL.
You lost your
Oh my God! The bumper's back on.
Why can't all of us do that?
I'm going outside. That was crazy.
All disabled too.
I just had to be like got up and just sort of like. Back to their airship. I think that's a penalty.
The bumper fell off again. Raise your hand when you find.
The hopper is off the ground. Or you don't. 10 seconds left in the match. We've got 2 robots up in the air on the blue line, red line. One robot. And 3, 2, 1. End this match. All right.
We're gonna just do a quick little wrap up of mock kickoff before we get into elevator game. So obviously with the natural gas and the starting late and everything this morning, we didn't quite get to the very end of what was planned, but we can kind of take a quick look at what was left and then move on. So after the human simulation, we would have come back up here and we would have debriefed and had discussion about what we saw during the human simulation between what archetypes did the best and what strategies worked, and kind of, how we can maximize the cycle values, so how we can get the most out of our time on the field, score the most, and then any sort of defense we also would have discussed. And so that would be kind of a valuable time to learn something from the human simulations. So we didn't get to do that, but you can kind of do that on your own, kind of think about what you saw and how you could apply that to Steamworks and how you would continue a season from what we did. April, if you want to go to the next slide. And then, so we would have also discussed what archetypes complement each other. So what worked well together, what was what was redundant between the archetypes. So if we had 3 different gearbots, that wouldn't be helpful because you don't get any feel that way. That sort of discussion, like what complements each other, what works, what's a good alliance. Yeah, how did the fairy bot? Thank you, Shiva. How did the fairy bot help the other robots? That sort of thing. So then next up is prioritizing the robot actions. So given the action lists we made earlier, we would have gone through and decided what we think is most important and what kind of takes like secondary importance on our next steps moving forward. So, obviously there's like things like moving and everything. That's probably top priority is like the basic robot stuff. But then after that, it's more of a strategic discussion of like, do we want to like focus on like gear actions? Do we want to focus on fuel actions? That sort of thing. So that would have been the next step. And then with the prioritized action list, you can go to the next slide. We would have sort of started to think about what CAD is going to, or like what the like hardware design team is going to take with what we've kind of thought about strategically, and what things are going to get ideated, like prototyped, and then worked on first. So, given the like top priority actions, we would create a list of like very beginning hardware design stuff. So, does anybody have questions on this ending bit that we didn't quite get to? Yeah.
Kind of like not really the ending bit, just like talking about robot simulations.
Yeah.
Should table leads have been like? Are we supposed to help set up and like score keep at actual kickoff, or do we like participate as part of our table?
I think.
Maybe just to build on that, because I think it's a really great question, and our visiting teams that are not up a creek here maybe don't know that you just kind of assign some table leads. So maybe you could go through the process of how did you pick your table leads and what is the expectation?
Great. Yeah. So during the off season, I want to say in like January, I started having like bi-weekly strategy meetings, and so with those people that came to those meetings, on Up a Creek at least, strategy is sort of like a secondary team, so you get to do something else and strategy. And so those people, we kind of talked about thinking strategically and like how mock kickoff was going to work, and people who came to those meetings were going to get to be table leads. So here today, we discussed kind of how I kind of just wanted to make sure that they kept the conversation flowing and make sure that like the proper ideas are getting thought about in the manual. Like, because if we just have people reading it and not gaining the right thing, like the right knowledge from it. So that's sort of the expectations of table leads. And so, Ian, from your question, I think what happened today was really good because it was like table leads kind of did like helped where it was necessary and then was with their table when that was better. So like Carter took over doing scorekeeping. I thought that was great because that needed to happen. But then if there's no role for you to fill, then it's great to just be with your table and have like table pride type thing. So any other questions about table lead stuff, leadership of mock kickoff? All right. So I guess that's it for mock kickoff. Thank you guys all for hanging out with us for that morning bit. Shiva's going to transition into Elevate Your Game.
All right. Yay.